Welcome back to Temporally Scripted, and today we've got some huge news stories to cover from around the world. We'll be talking about royals giving away secret information to people in the United States. Of course, we'll dig in a little bit about what's going on with AI and AI psychosis. And maybe later on, we'll have a little bit of a story about people balancing chairs on their chins. And of course, there'll be some animal magic in there as well, because we can't help ourselves here on Temporally Scripted. So welcome back, everybody. I'm Jack Austin, and as always, I am joined by my very good friend, partner in crime, the dude that I've known since we met down a random alleyway in the UK, sometime that we can't remember when. Here he is. It's Adam Garcia. Welcome, my friend.
It's lovely to be here as always, and always good to be reminded of strange escapades down dark alleyways.
Yeah,
well, nice. I could have phrased that a bit better, probably.
Yeah, we'll let the audience make their own thoughts about what happened there. But yeah, you can certainly know that we weren't passing any information away to secret people. So what's going on this week, my friend?
Yeah, and still, I haven't been passing on information to people in a secretive manner for profit. I don't know about you, but
No, although to be fair, the information I have maybe not worth very much to anybody, I suppose. Quite a lot of it comes from things I heard in the primary school playground and have still not removed them from my psyche. So yeah, I don't know what information I have. There was a time, I used to remember that, traffic lights were once red to go and green to stop. I don't know if that was just my dad's driving or something that I had a fever dream at some point in my childhood. Who knows?
It sounds like some very interesting driving on your dad's behalf. Good times.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
well, I guess. Well, should we kick off where we started discussing last week, I guess, and with a certain batch of files that were released, it seems like there's been a lot of fallout from it.
It does indeed, and it just keeps going deeper and deeper. So we're going to start with Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, formerly known as the Duke of York, formerly known as Prince Andrew, formerly known as the artist. I know that.
Formerly known as, yeah, I was going to say
Prince. Yeah, no, that's something else. Yeah, let's not bring him into it. But yeah, so apparently the story here is that Andrew is now being investigated by Thames Valley Police because as he had the role as the trade envoy for the United Kingdom, he apparently leaked a load of information to Jeffrey Epstein about trade deals in Afghanistan, which trade deals in Afghanistan is a whole different topic, which we can go into at some point. But yeah, he's been a very, very naughty boy, so much so that the royal family broke their hundreds of years old thing to never talk about stuff going on in the media when they're doing important trips to places around the world to obviously promote the royal family and the monarchy. And they are currently, Prince William is in Saudi Arabia for that very purpose. So this is big news, and I wonder how deep it goes. But wow.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not a good look, really, when royal visits are going on and they're having to comment on this. And it just reinforces that the attention of people on the connections that Andrew had. Or allegedly. Do we still say that now, or is it? I think it's it looks pretty damning by now. But
I think for the purposes of the algorithm, we do need to say that being mentioned in the Epstein files does not mean that you were implicated by anything in the Epstein files. However, when it comes to Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, I think it's pretty much nailed on.
But yeah, this is really bad. I mean, again, it's just like the Mandelson thing of giving someone information that's really important information that's going to affect the price of various things, whether that's the strength of the pound or the FTSE or all kinds of different things that it could affect, as well as just insider information on what's about to happen in the world, which being that one step ahead in business can really make you a profit. And that seems to be part of it. And I mean, also when you think about some of this stuff, I don't know the full ins and outs of the Andrew thing, and I guess that's why there's an investigation going on. But when you think of the Mandelson thing, it's like, is that just some dodgy thing of telling your mate some stuff, or is that kind of like treason? Because you're selling state secrets, and that's going against the interests of your country when you're in a massive position of power.
Yeah, I wonder if it's still something that you could get the death penalty for in the UK, because I remember I go down rabbit holes, as I'm sure you know. I get obsessed with random things. Sometimes it's like, oh, I've seen a mountain. Now I'm going to research every possible mountain that there is in the world and obsess. That's just how my brain works. And once I was looking into like the whole capital punishment thing and all of that stuff, corporal punishment, capital punishment.
Yeah,
Anyway,
capital's like death sentence. Corporal is like random acts of violence or something.
right,
punishment.
right. You heard it here first. So yeah, there was only two things in the UK at that time that you could still be sentenced with the death penalty for. One of them was treason, and the other one was arson in Her Majesty's dockyards. So if you set fire to something in like a naval port, I don't know if it was also, it would be naval because they're the only Her Majesty's or His Majesty's now. But yeah, they were the two things that you could still be committed to death for. I don't think it's a hung, drawn, and quartering, but
Right, okay.
which is a shame, you know.
The BBC would have actually got some viewers.
Yeah, and that's it. You can imagine. But that makes me think of a Guy Fawkes thing I listened to the other day, but we're not going to go down that rabbit hole just yet. He certainly wasn't feeding information to Jeffrey Epstein. At least we hope not.
I don't think his name was on the list, but we can't be sure because some of it again hasn't been released, and there's still like another 3 million files or something. They only released half of it, and some of it's heavily redacted. And another thing with all this is like it seems they gave what they wanted to give, and it seems like a lot's been held back, and there's no. It all seems to be like kind of tenuous links. There doesn't seem to be a lot of concrete evidence, not much of it anyway, that heavily implicates people. I think a lot of that has come from investigations, like subsequently, like with Mandelson and things. And there's a picture of him in his pants, which doesn't look good. And like with Andrew, there's a picture of him over that woman, which again, not such a good look.
I thought they were just playing a game of Twister, to be honest.
It could have been, or practicing like CPR or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems like they just haven't really given us really all of the information. I think there's a lot there that hasn't been released, and they won't release. And also, interestingly, we've had like in the UK, there's been investigations into Mandelson and Andrew, but in America, I've not heard of anybody being investigated, even though the amount of people named in these files seemed huge. And that's all like politicians, business leaders, and various people with a lot of power. But it seems like nothing is being investigated or seems to be being done about it.
Yeah. The other thing I guess, without making accusations, there's got to be some in there about Donald Trump, because you can't be the best friend of somebody with all of this stuff going on and them not know about it, you know? Like there's got to be something that goes a little bit deeper there, or it's just that you're the most gullible person ever. Like if I was running this kind of empire and all of this stuff going on and all these connections and information and stuff, and you had no idea about it, it's a tough pill to swallow, isn't it?
Really is. And the whole thing's just so strange. I mean, going back to the Andrew thing, what do you think will happen to him next? What do you think that it's going to be a positive outlook? The police look into it and go, "Oh no, actually, it was fine."
I think it totally depends on how much of an impact this is having on the royal family in the UK, because if you imagine, and even me, who's not a massive royalist, like Queen Elizabeth seemed like an awesome monarch, right? She had the sense of humor, quick wit. always seemed like friendly, turning up to stuff. And I know some people listening are going to go, the royals are right. And yeah, fair enough, right? Of course. Let's not get it wrong. The temporally scripted line is generally that they're all full of it, right? The whole lot of them. So it's not like, it's not like we're like royalists, or I'm not putting words in your mouth. But for me personally, when the Queen died, I was sad, right? Because she was like an establishment. Part of being British was old Queenie and what she was doing, And I feel like since she died, Prince Charles has never had quite as much of a, King Charles has never had quite as much of a pull or a statesman like feel about him. And obviously, partly because of Diana, and she was very loved by the UK public and the whole world. And like once all the stuff that happened with him and Camilla and all of that, like he generally already had like a bad sort of publicity to deal with. And I think William and Kate is different. They can kind of have more of that. But if it looks like the royal family is going to be in a place where it might not exist anymore, then I think it could go as far as Andrew getting jailed.
Yeah. I mean, if it's serious enough, I guess it would have to be, because I think if not, it'd be such a public outcry. Because yeah, but like with most things, when rich, powerful people do something bad that most people would get jail time for, they don't. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Obviously, we don't know. It might come out as completely not guilty and innocent, but it doesn't sound so great. And it seems like he spent a lot of time with Epstein. And
yeah,
they must have been talking about something that whole time. What you been up to? Oh, just chilling out, riding my horse. Like, not really.
Yeah.
How's that job going? It's like the trade envoy or whatever. Oh, well, yeah, just quiet. You're going to go into details and say what's been happening and say, oh, well, there's this huge thing, because you would. You're talking to a friend about it.
I also get this impression that Andrew is the kind of character where, so there was somebody in my life, I'm not going to mention their names, but like once they owed a lot of money to people and I helped them out. I was like, okay, is that it now? Right? You don't owe anyone else money, do you? They're like, no, it's all sorted now. It's all done. And then like a week later, I get a message from someone saying, oh, have you seen this guy? Because he owes me. And I'm like, and then it happens again and again and again. And I feel like Andrew, you can imagine Andrew's talking to King Charles and King Charles is like, is this it now? Are you sure there's not going to be anything else? Right? Because
definitely.
He's like, we can just about deal with this, right? It will blow over. But if there's going to be another thing, like you need to tell me because we're going to have to get on the front foot with this. And he's like, no, that's it. And I was only in Pizza Express and there was nothing going on and there's no further information to find out. And then there's another thing. So I think it will get to the point where Charles is just like, I'm done. You're whatever. The police can do what they want with you,
And I mean, it's funny you're saying about like the Queen and the kind of respect that people had for her. And everyone like just really knew that she was like a genuine person who was above reproach kind of thing. And what she said was like, when she's kind of impeccable, would always do the right thing. And then you have Andrew and just all the like, just such a bizarre setup and all the weird excuses that came out when he was doing Panorama, like, oh, well, I had a shot of adrenaline during the war and I can't sweat now. So when she says I was sweating, that's not the case. It would be impossible. And then like doctors look into it and say that there is a medical condition like this, but it's not caused by an adrenaline shot and it's very, very rare. It sounds incredibly unlikely. And then, like I was telling you earlier, but I noticed with the Pizza Express thing, it's like during that Panorama interview, when he allegedly spent a night with Virginia Guthrie, and he said, oh, no, it couldn't have possibly happened. I was at Pizza Express at the time with my family. And it's like, later in these files, that kind of food seems to be a code word for something else. And I just thought, what's going on there? Is he just being that blatant? Is he kind of having a joke on someone? Did did someone tell him, like, oh, go on, say it on camera?
Yeah.
What is it? Was he blackmailed to say? I don't know, but it just seemed like such a weird coincidence. Because firstly, none of the staff from that place have any recollection of a royal visit, which they would. So it seems like it really didn't happen. And why be so specific about that food?
Yeah.
You could say,
Yeah.
oh, I had a speaking engagement at blah, 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 or I was with whoever. And how would he even remember that specific date? And it's just so weird,
Yeah, and it's not even like a memorable place to eat for a start, but it also then part of this is part of this is because, like, if I think I'm going to buy this car in red, I will suddenly see that car in red everywhere when I never saw it before, right? Because you kind of there's a thing in your brain where you can train it to see certain stuff. But I start to notice now, and people are sharing stuff where all kinds of different celebrities, people high up in like Hollywood, are talking about amazing parties they had, mentioning that specific food again. And then you start to go, wait, and it could just be, oh, it's a coincidence because now we're all looking for this stuff. But it could be that, like, it just goes so deep, It's almost like if you want to be part of that A-list world, you kind of have to be involved in some way with something dodgy, whether or not it's anything right to that level, or if it's more information sharing, whatever else, all of that stuff. It's like, and again, where do you draw the line? So, like, for example, I'm a nobody, pretty much. Like, you're a nobody as well, as much as I live.
Well, I mean, speak for yourself, but okay.
But like, if I find someone tells me about this piece of information with a cryptocurrency that's going to come out, or they tell me that this stock's going to go up, and then I come and tell you because you're my friend and I want you to make money as well, that's kind of okay. So where do you draw the line where if, like, you've got this level of information and you tell your friend that it's not okay? Like, how do you measure that line of where you're too influential and you know too much stuff to be able to share things with your friends?
That's a really good question. And I don't know the answer to it. I think what I would say is, just like if you work for the civil service or something like that, you have to sign the Official Secrets Act. Various companies as well will have you sign something similar because you're handling very sensitive information. And I guess it's that. It's where you breach that kind of trust or that contract or whatever else. Yeah, and also it's when you're, I mean, if we looked at the Mandelson things, if that's all true, then he's doing things that are against the interests of his own country. And that's definitely one line that you could draw. Are you throwing your country under the bus so you can make some money with your mates? I don't know.
I think that we can pretty much jail every politician, But anyway, that's just my personal opinion. I'm not saying that that's what we should do.
And I mean, but again, the whole insider trading thing, we know that it seems to happen. And again, you could say allegedly, but like the Nancy Pelosi trading thing, she's like the greatest trader that's ever been known. And it's just coincidence that she happens to know some of the deals and laws that come out in advance. Obviously, she doesn't act on it. And there's no reason she would make hundreds of millions of dollars and be better than Warren Buffett trading.
I mean,
just coincidence. Coincidences happen all the time.
Yeah, and I mean, in that spare 20 minutes a day she has to focus on the markets, she just seems to figure it all out. It's incredible.
Yeah, and who would think the following day, like it's announced that Microsoft is doing a new deal with the US government, and the stock just skyrockets. It's just weird coincidence, but she knew nothing about. Obviously.
Yeah. I mean, that's someone that needs investigating in general, I think, as well as like Bill Gates, because not just from what's come out in the Epstein files, but the fact that for years and years and years he can be like, oh yeah, climate change, got to invest all this money in climate change, guys. give us all your money, invest in this. It's all climate change, blah, 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 blah. And that affects markets. And then for one day, him to just wake up and go, oh, yeah, it's not a thing, actually.
Yeah, amazing, isn't that?
Last night, I reflected on it before I went to bed. And when I woke up this morning, I thought, you know what? All of those billions of dollars we spent on researching climate change, it was a waste.
Yeah,
But
I
must be
mean,
a fool if I think the same thing next week as I did last week. So it's fine that I've just changed my mind. It's nothing
You
to do
have
with the fact I've just bought all the farming land in the USA or whatever. Like,
you have to come out with something new each time, I guess. But I mean, that was one of the interesting things where you'd have various politicians like Obama, whoever else, going, "Oh, it's looking bad. Sea levels are going to rise soon. It's going to be terrible." And man goes and buys like a mansion by the beach. You know, if you really thought the sea was going to rise by like 100 feet or whatever in the near future, that's not what you'd be buying a house at the top of a mountain.
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Right, well, let's move on because I know we could talk about this for a whole episode, but we want to get to Guinness World Records and animals at some point.
The stuff that really matters in life, really.
The stuff that matters, yeah. But before we do move totally away from politics, there's this story that's came out where obviously Wes Streeting shared his WhatsApp messages, right? So what basically he was sending WhatsApp messages to Mandelson, and he wanted to prove there was no wrongdoing by sharing the messages. And the government have just warned them to not do that. I think it was the government, or they've been warned by the police to not share their message chains publicly because it could affect investigations that are ongoing, right?
Yeah.
For one, surely sharing your own messages is fine. For two, the biggest thing that hit me out of this story is that sometimes these people send messages to each other and they just don't reply. I cannot imagine someone sending me a message and me not just reading it and not replying. Is that what normal people do?
Well, we're just too busy. We've got things to do. Maybe there's a list of priorities of the prioritize the people that they respond to.
But then some of it's just sharing a random article that they looked good in. So to me, I'm like, is that how people converse? Is this?
Oh yeah, and
I was flabbergasted.
And it could be that they share things like that sometimes. Oh, look at this article about me. I actually look pretty good. And we always have this impression of like politicians or people in charge being like real serious adults, but they're just like average people, or sometimes more childish than that. You know, it's like, oh, seen this thing when I've done. You know,
look at me. Yeah, I mean, the line that kills me the most out of this, which comes from The Guardian, is the Cabinet Office and police are coordinating on what material can be safely published and when. To me, that's exactly what we said at the beginning. We're just looking at what's going to like mean the public realize that we're all full of shit, and they're going to like get even more angry than they are and maybe revolt, or like safely released for what? Well, what's going to happen?
How do you release it safely?
Safely for who?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's it. Like now I've heard this thing about Mandelson. I can't live.
And like we mentioned in a previous episode, as soon as you hear that word safety, usually it's not in your best interests. You know, there's always something dodgy going on. So are we doing this for safety reasons? Go, whose safety?
Yeah,
it's not mine and yours.
Unless it's like texting while driving after 10 pints of beer.
Yeah.
Right. That one's okay. But yeah, information safety.
It's
not sure.
It's kind of funny, this Wes Streeting thing as well, because there's nothing particularly interesting in what he said in the messages. I can't remember, but
I read them. It's like they're talking about I'm going to America this week, and I need this information. Can you give it to me? Or I saw this article they wrote about you, and it put you across in a really good way. Or it's just like little things like that. And then I think it gets a little bit tasty towards the end, where Streeting is saying that the government has no plan for growth and other stuff. And I mean, that just reminds me of when I used to work at Boots, right? You'd be working in your team and one of the managers would make some decision and you and your teammates would be like, it's never going to work, is it? Like, what? Well, why do they think this policy is going to work? Or like the time where, the leadership at Boots decided that they were going to stop putting milk in the hubs for free so we could make teas and coffees. And it was mutiny.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Full shutdown. Like people were working less. They were all bitching all day about the lack of milk. And literally, I think it was 11 days before they started putting milk back in the hubs of all different colors, like stars.
It's incredible, isn't it? What motivates people, and the thing that'll be the straw that breaks a camel's back. It's like just one thing so small. It's like, right, that's it.
Yeah, Milkgate, it was called at the time.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But it also gave me faith in humanity again, because I realized, like, once you do cross the line, once you get to a point where the line is crossed too far, it's like across all levels, from the lowest level employee to the most senior manager that's not on the leadership board, was just like
outraged.
It was pure, like, British people and tea is one thing already, but then like, oh, you have to bring your own milk. How's that even going to work with everyone bringing their own milk to the fridge?
And people are going to take other people's, but yeah, you get between like an English person and the tea, and it's like, I pity the fool.
Yeah, I'd imagine that. I can't believe the WhatsApp messages that would have been seen over that period of time. I'm sure there was all kinds of stuff, And I think again, it's also shows you how far removed leadership can be from the reality of the day to day of like what actually matters for people,
Yeah, completely. And it is that. I mean, I think a lot of people are fed up with politicians in the UK for a number of reasons, and we see all this going on. And I think, isn't Keir Starmer the most unpopular prime minister in history? Like, got the lowest approval ratings, and people are just seeing them all now as like this. We're all just in this little group, just helping each other out. We're all in it for themselves. We're all like in this like cloud land, just not existing in the real world. And I think people have just had enough in many ways.
We're almost at this stage where people are looking back and thinking, Margaret Thatcher, that's when we had, proper leadership.
Yeah, and people actually are. But I mean, whatever it was with Thatcher, I mean, she had like character and conviction and seriousness, and she was, and if she said something, it's not like Keir Starmer where it's like, okay, I'm announcing this, and then like 3 days later, well, there's another U-turn.
Do you often go back to your hometown in the northeast or not these days?
I haven't been there for like a really long time. I think about 7 years.
After you just said that about Margaret Thatcher, I would recommend you never ever.
Yeah. Although actually it was during the Blair government that it was the worst. And it was during the Blair government that all the shutdowns started happening at like the chemical works and British Steel. Not so much, but it did get shorter in that time. While it was happening, ICI, which is like the big chemical corporation that had all the factories and like this huge area of chemical works. Well, they started selling parts of the company off to other companies from overseas, and workers were like losing out on their rights, and loads of people were just getting fired left, right, and center, and all this stuff was happening. So, so the workers got together and took ICI to court about it. And ICI was represented by somebody called Cherie Blair.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And so you can imagine what happened. And all the workers that had put all the money in basically lost all of that, and it still didn't help with anything. And so it's in a lot of ways. This was during like an election time as well, like leading up to the 1997 election. And like the barrister for the workers was like, oh, don't take this to court. Don't take this to the press or anything. Just keep the court case quiet. But if it was none of the news that Cherie Blair was representing ICI against the workers, that would have probably changed an election.
Crazy.
But and so I think probably where I'm from, things under Thatcher we weren't so happy with because it was pretty grim. But in some ways, at least back then, everyone had jobs and you had like a job for life pretty much guaranteed. You did have a poll tax and everything else, but at the same time, it was really under like Blair's kind of time where things started getting really bad. And up through like the early 2000s and things, like everything just started shutting down. And so now if you go to that area, places like Middlesbrough, where I was born, it's just this like kind of ghost town with you just got nothing there. All like the department stores and all the nice places all shut down. And now you just kind of got like Greg's, charity shops, vape shop. That's about it. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I grew up in near Grimsby, and that's another example of a town that's just had the soul ripped out of it, and it is pretty much empty everywhere now. Like the old shopping streets are empty. There's like drug addicts on the street everywhere. There's homeless people, and it's just Anyway, we could talk about that. Looking back and thinking, the good old days. I think some of it is just how humans are when we look back at stuff. We're not in the moment, so it feels like it was better. But some of it is absolutely true, and I think that's partly why Keir Starmer's like the lowest rated prime minister of all time. I think every one of the last 5 prime ministers has been like the lowest rated prime minister of all time. It's just like gradually just going into like.
Oh, there was like the Liz Truss thing with the lettuce, where it was like, who will last longer, Liz Truss or this lettuce?
I never trusted
the culture in Spain.
Yeah, I never trusted her. I'm sorry, folks. That was great. Let's move out of politics and on to other things. So another key theme, obviously, because we are at the forefront of everything here on Temporally Scripted. Don't forget to give us a like, a subscribe, a follow. We should have said that in the first 4 minutes before people start watching. Anyway, so AI, there's this new thing now called AI psychosis, which is basically around like, there was this man who described it. He said he was spiraling into AI psychosis because of heavy reliance upon chatbots, and his life started to fall apart. And then eventually he woke up homeless, and that's when he snapped out of it. It sounds extreme. I don't know if he asked ChatGPT what was the best way to save on his rent, and ChatGPT said, just pitch a tent on the high street in Grimsby and see what happens. But this obsession apparently, and it cost him everything. So
I mean, from reading it seemed pretty grim. The article didn't go into like a huge amount of detail, really. I don't know. Can you see how it could happen in a way that someone could get what's sometimes called AI psychosis?
Yes and no. I think one of the biggest dangers I see with AI is it's certainly designed to be an echo chamber. So no matter what you say to AI, it will challenge you a bit to begin with, but eventually it will come to a point where it agrees with everything that you say, and it says, yeah, you've got it now, you've nailed it, ship it, put it out there. One example I can give is like trying to get lighting right in a room. We were talking about it earlier, and you take a screenshot of like your video and you put it into AI, and you'll be like, all right, give me some feedback on this. It's like, well, first I want to tell you, you've done a great job so far, but here's how I take it to the next level. And then it starts telling you all these things, and you spend like 6 hours tweaking all the lights, where you could just use your own eyeballs in your head to decide what looks a bit better. But having that thinking part next to you, that's going to make all the difference, right? So, and then you end up with dark, muddy rubbish that you could have just done better yourself in the first 10 minutes. So I think there's some stuff in there with it. I guess if you were starting to ask it too much about, how do I become a millionaire? And then like just obsessing with information over action and never actually doing any of the things that it's teaching you, just like learning and more learning, and I'm going to learn more stuff. And then eventually I could see how it could become an obsession that way. But yeah, going from like housed, jobbed to homeless, seems like a bit of a stretch to me. I feel like there was something else involved here.
Yeah, I would agree in that. I think probably there's some underlying problem, and it's not just the whole thing is caused by him talking to ChatGPT for too long. It's like with a lot of things, sort of people can be influenced by, well, all kinds of stuff, really. Some people might watch a movie and then decide to copy what's been done in that movie, even though it's like Taxi Driver or whatever, or Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But I think it's one of those things. It's like, should you just say, okay, well, yeah, fine, let's ban ChatGPT because it does this. It's like, it doesn't really do that. Someone that probably had some issues and problems, or was quite susceptible to this kind of thing, got caught out by it. And I think we will see a lot more of that happening as well.
Yeah.
I would think in like a broader society as well, because people are lonelier these days. Their friendships seem to be less strong than they were in the past. They have a smaller circle of friends. Then all of a sudden you have these chatbots that you can just talk to. Maybe you have some issues, you want to do different things, you explore all this stuff, and the chatbot can be acting as like a friend, a counselor, a life coach, an employment advisor, all these kinds of things. And I think people are getting sucked into it because it's fully immersive and it feels like you're having a conversation with a real person.
Yeah. I get it. Like I think it has huge uses for that as well. I think it's actually very useful at being a confidant, a coach, whatever, but you have to prompt it very well to get it to do things like asking clarifying questions and trying to really get down to what your worldview is on a subject and then help you reframe that worldview. So used in the right way with the right amount of knowledge, it can definitely help a lot. But yeah, there is this part of it. Like, I had recently an issue where I had to stop myself from using Cat GPT. Have you heard of Cat GPT?
Oh, is it where you ask it a question, it just meows?
Yeah. And I started using
nice.
it, and initially it was useful. It gave me like a view of what it's like to be a cat, and I started to obviously improve my language skills. But then, I started asking my wife to buy packets of Whiskas when we went to the supermarket, and she just thought that was weird. And yeah, I started drinking my daily protein shakes out of a saucer.
Yeah.
And eventually I had to go to counseling and stop using Cat GPT. So I think that would be my warning to the viewers, is if you ever stumble across something like that, or you start meowing to AI, it's probably time to have a break, talk to some humans,
It could be. And yeah, and I guess also with AI, it's it's this incredibly powerful technology that's just been dumped on us. And no one really knows the safety aspects of it, or how powerful it actually is, or what problems it could actually cause for certain people. It's kind of, we view it the same as having like a Google search or a game of Tetris or something like that, but it's not. It's far, far different.
Yeah. It's random. Like, I think, who knows where it's going to go. I think it has as many benefits as it does downsides. I think it's the same as anything, right? You can sit on YouTube and watch videos about rubbish all day, or like, Mr. Beast and all of this setup crap that people like to rot their brains with, which is all staged and nonsense, which sometimes I have watched it. I have to agree, but literally this guy's a multi-billionaire from just making crap to rot people's brains. Or you could sit and watch like Alex Hormozy and, all of these guys, Peterson, whatever, Tony Robbins, and really get a massive education from it. And I think it's the same with AI, right? You just need to make sure that you're not living in there too much and you're actually applying some of the things that you're working on. And it's not a reassurance partner, because it will just tell you a good idea no matter what. It's like,
unless you put that, be honest, like level to it, then it will
Yeah.
just say, because it's meant to be friendly. And because I guess people wouldn't use it so much if every time you went to an ID with it, it's like, yeah, pull the other one. That'll never happen. What? Look at this clown.
I'm going to tell all the other AIs about this dickhead. Hey, Claude, you never guessed what this guy just said to me.
Exactly. So it kind of has to be. What I did notice as well is this is from Futurism magazine, and they kind of like
journalism again.
Yeah, and they kind of tend to like sensationalize a lot of stuff that isn't always worthwhile. I mean, I noticed the other day they did like a hit piece on like Andrew Huberman saying, "Oh, his viewers are outraged because he's secretly on TRT." And because he admitted in like an interview, well, not admitted, he just like dropped it into an interview recently. But the thing is, I've been watching that guy for like years. And I remember years ago and saying, yeah, I started doing like testosterone replacement therapy and like when I was 45 years old. And yeah, they'd reframed it because like a couple of people got angry on the internet and tried to call him out for it, even though he'd mentioned like several times. As if people all thought that, well, you know, he just thinks health is like daylight viewing and ashwagandha, and it's like completely false. And then within that, the product like, well. Yeah. And then in that, they brought up like some other allegations from years ago and things like that, and just for some reason, just decided to take this guy and just paint him out as this like terrible character, and but everyone's outraged, and no one's outraged about anything about him. There was something that came up like a year ago, but I don't know. It's like we've just somehow made a story out of nothing just to like get clicks, and it's all clickbait and shock as blah blah blah. You know?
Yeah, and it cultivates outrage, doesn't it? Like, I mean, all I've been doing is applying snake oil to my titties and my biceps, and you can see it. Yeah. I'm right now. But everything's outrage, you know. It's like we're probably not going to get to all these stories today, but like if we look through the other stories, it's like boycott Amazon, boycott ChatGPT, boycott the internet. It's like a South Park episode. They're all like rabble, 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 rabble. It's like let's get super angry and annoyed about everything that we can't do anything about. You know, it's crazy.
And that's why South Park is so good, because it's true, just like The Simpsons, where there's always a thing like, let us not become an angry mob, and everyone becomes an angry mob.
Yeah, someone pops up with a torch selling, you know. Crazy. So I think we just let's jump to one more story before we go into obviously the key news of the day, which is like the Guinness World Record that we want to tell these guys about. I think we'll finish off with that. I do want to talk a little bit about the Super Bowl. Obviously, I don't care about Super Bowl. Like personally, and sorry if we've got an American viewers watching, I can't stand American sport. Like they're so stat heavy, and for me, it doesn't work. And I know most Americans don't like football or soccer because it's like it doesn't have as much of that stat analysis angle. So for me, if I try and watch like American football, it's just 5 hours of like. They seem to spend more time off the pitch than on the pitch. I just don't get it, right? Also, they stole the word football. They should have called it soccer or whatever, you know, kicky rugby with pads. Anyway, but obviously there's always a huge event. There's like a big halftime show, which apparently they're going to try and ruin the World Cup for football with halftime shows because it's in America this year or whatever. And Green Day performed there, right? And obviously Green Day, they're known as like punk. It's like we know 3 chords and can play them with a lot of attitude. It's like where do you stand on Green Day, by the way? Because
I used to really, really love them when I was like probably like 14, something like that. Like Dookie was, I think, my favorite album. That and Nevermind by Nirvana. But yeah, I think they've done some awesome stuff in their time and wrote some like really well written, catchy, cool, like punk songs.
I agree. Yeah, Green Day are awesome, and one of my I think formative bands, if that's a phrase. It is now. We heard it here first. Formative bands that kind of formed your thinking, your feel about music. But everyone's super annoyed because they played the Super Bowl, and apparently they skipped a verse that's about politics and stuff, and they massage themselves down a little bit. And it's not the first time this happened. I think Rage Against the Machine played at like Obama's inauguration ceremony or something,
Right.
which is like,
So, yeah,
there's a
do
bit of
killing
a,
in the name or something. And Obama then went on to do more drone strikes than anybody else in history. But anyway,
this is it. So I mean, what do you think about it? Is it bad that they didn't do it? Is it that they're just like, do you know what? It's not the occasion for political statements. Like, what is that? I suppose some of it is like, if someone said to me, "Oh, you can come and do a speech at this massive business conference," but please don't go on and talk about like your Cat GPT addiction and
yeah,
and stuff. Just avoid that. I'd probably go, do you know what? As much as I am passionate about Cat GPT, I'm happy to not talk about it today because I want the opportunity. And is it a bit like that? Like, here's the Super Bowl. Don't say this verse, please. Things are a bit hot at the moment. Like, I don't know.
yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the thinking was behind it. I guess they don't have a responsibility to change that line in that song every time, which I can't remember what it is, but it's something anti-MAGA or anti-Trump or something like that. But it's like, yeah, I don't know. At the same time, I kind of think I'm sort of in two minds about it. It's like, if a politician does something, you look at it and you think it's blatantly wrong, and it is blatantly wrong, you have the freedom to say about it. But I wonder with a lot of celebrities, and we see it at the Oscars or the Grammys or whatever else, it's like, well, say if it's at the Oscars, it's like, well, I've spent the last 30 years pretending to be other people, so I have a good a good idea of what's right and wrong and what politicians should do. And it's like, you don't. And it's like, there was a funny one the other day where it was Billie Eilish at the Grammys, and she made like a little protest on stage when she was getting a reward about ICE, and she said something like, "No one is illegal on stolen land," and everyone gets up and claps. Oh, so beautiful, so noble. But then the Tonga tribe made a statement saying that her mansion is is on their ancestral land, and they weren't consulted before the building of the mansion. So it's like you have this weird, slightly hypocritical thing going off as well.
Yeah, it's easy to be on the high horse and on the left when you've already got multi-millions of dollars in your bank account. It's easy to do that. Like, I call it like the Greta Thunberg sort of mentality that they all have. And I think the other person who played the Super Bowl, is it B Rabbit or some rabbit?
Oh, Bad Bunnies.
Bad
yeah.
Bunny, yeah.
I don't know who that
like
is,
that.
but I'm sure Mr. Bunny is very good at his job.
I'm sure he is. And I think he's like the other side of the coin or whatever. I don't know. It's tricky, man. Like, I think where do you draw the line? And I think we could talk about this all day, but we're not going to, because we're going to move on.
Well, I guess where we could draw the line is just sort of go, I just want to hear you play good music and do that. That's what you're really good at. I don't care what you think about one politician or another or the state of certain things. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Play the damn guitar and shut up.
Yeah, well, strong words.
A bit. Yeah, great. Yeah. So the bit that you guys have all been waiting for before, making sure I don't knock my microphone out, because the bit you've all been waiting for is we'll cut this bit out. I'll definitely remember. So
sure.
Before we get to our top fives, we've got one last story. It comes from our favorite beverage, Guinness, which is not the same Guinness, but it's a Guinness World Record. And this record has been broken by David Rush. He reclaimed the record. Someone had stolen it from him, but like a true champion, he carried on. He came back. He went back into training. I'm sure there was a montage in there, Rocky style. And he has just reclaimed the record for balancing a chair on his chin for 1 hour, 20 minutes, and 30 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much we can say about that, really, other than, well done, David. That is incredible.
Congratulations. Have you ever tried to balance a chair on your chin?
No, I haven't. I've tried balancing like brooms and things like that.
I've stuck a spoon to my nose.
No, right. I had a magic DVD by a guy who used to, I think he started off in like the circus, and so he learned like kind of clown skills and things like that. But he could like balance a spoon like on his chin, which is really impressive. If you want to learn it, you start with a broom and then you keep like chopping bits off until it gets really short, and then you'll be able to do with spoons.
That's awesome. I like it. That's there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Magic tips from Adam. Maybe that'll become a segment in the future. Because Adam loves being asked to do magic at random events.
Yeah, definitely.
So bringing us to this week's temporally scripted top 5. This week, what have we got, Adam? Take it away.
I can't remember. Oh, right, there we go.
Awesome.
Okay.
We're going to cancel it this week, guys. So see you next week. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Have a nice day. So as some people will be aware, it's Lunar New Year pretty soon. So for Lunar New Year, well, maybe that's a good time to do something lunar. And so this week, it's top 5 weirdest things about the moon.
Awesome. Because I think we can add to that quickly that we're going back to the moon very soon.
Us personally, we
not you and I. We're not going to record an episode of temporally scripted on the moon, although that would be cool. But no, the US, I think they're pretty close to sending another mission back to the moon. But I'm not going to derail us. Let's continue.
Oh, nice. It'll be interesting when that happens.
Did.
Right. So number 1 is the 400 by 400 coincidence, and it's this that gives us total solar eclipses. Right. So from the Earth, the sun and the moon look kind of the same size, which is really weird. But that's because the sun is about 400 times wider than the moon, but it's also 400 times further away. So they appear to be the same kind of size, which is mad that it's so perfect. And that's what gives us like the total solar eclipse, which is just really, it's such a mad coincidence.
To me, I think it's just because the universe has so many of these things, right? They're like, it seems like it's totally random, but at the same time, it's like a big old Mandelbrot set. Crazy.
Yeah, it is nuts. But at the same time, the moon is actually moving away from us only by about 3 to 4 centimeters per year, which means that in the past, it would have looked bigger. And in the future, we won't get that total solar eclipse. It won't really affect us because it'll be a very, very, very long time from now. But
speak for yourself.
Yeah, I asked ChatGPT and it said I'm going to live forever.
Yeah, it said if I follow this specific regimen, daily Cat GPT, I'll be there.
Awesome. Right. Number 2 is that it always faces Earth, which is absolutely crazy. So, you know, we can only see a little bit more than half of it. We see about 59%, but that's all we see. So it's like if this microphone's the moon, if the microphone's the Earth and this is the moon, it's always like this. As it goes round, it always faces the Earth. I don't think we actually know why. It must be something like it's kind of heavier or denser on one side, and over time it's got trapped like that. But it's really crazy that it would orbit just perfectly like that. So we have that one side of the moon.
It'd be great for advertising if someone decides to put one up there, wouldn't it? It's like, almost like a billboard. But joking aside, it's because on the dark side, it's made of cheese and the clangers live there. Anyway, what's the number 3?
Well, also, interestingly, the dark side, it's actually pretty bright. It gets lots of light. It's really should be the far side of the moon, but it just doesn't sound as cool in songs.
Although the far side of the moon does sound like an album. Anyway. Bowie or something.
Well, and speaking of that, number 3 is that the near far and the far side look like 2 different moons completely. So they're asymmetrical. Also, the moon's near side has like big sort of dark seas, which are like huge basalt plains that came from ancient lava flow. But the far side is kind of like covered with a lot more crater marks, and the crust is a lot thicker on that side for some reason. But they just look like two completely different moons.
That's wild. Yeah, I wouldn't. But you think it used to be the Earth or something, and we used to live there, and then we came to this Earth afterwards or something? That's my theory.
But that's a
Based
good
on the
theory.
last 15 seconds of Tom.
I think it's pretty solid. Maybe when NASA goes back to the moon, they can verify or rubbish that hypothesis. I'm not sure.
And we can call it the temporally scripted hypothesis, or just the Jack Austin one, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I'd rather have some distance from it, if that's all right.
Okay, like the front and the near side of the moon. Yeah, cool. Awesome.
Right. The next one is transient lunar phenomena, which are also known as TLPs, which are really, really strange. So it's like little things that just happen on the moon that aren't really explained. So sometimes it can be like a really sudden bright point. It can be glows. It can be like gas or fog. Some things get like darker or lighter, and they can last for like seconds up to a few hours. And we've got reports of this going back to like the year 1540. And we've got a list of over 1,400 of these things. It's something real, and we have some explanations for what some of these things could be. There could be some like outgassing. There could be like the moon getting hit by objects, but a lot of them are unexplained, and we just really don't know. But it's like something's going on up there, but we're not sure what.
Clangers.
It must be.
Yeah. All right, round us up.
Okay, and a really strange one. NASA, many years ago, deliberately crashed a spent rocket stage into the moon's surface. And what they said was the moon rang like a bell. Now, this isn't like a boom, but
Not like a doorbell.
No, ding dong. Yeah. But what they actually meant was in terms of seismic activity. So, because they had like seismographs in place on the moon, and when this rocket hit it, instead of it being like a short kind of whatever, it lasted for way longer than they expected, leading. Well, I mean, it sounds like a sort of conspiracy sort of thing, and a lot of people think that. Because some people would say, well, this is evidence of why the moon must be artificial. And it is a really weird one, because it shouldn't do that, given that we know, or we think we know, what it's made of. But we clearly don't, because it sounded more like it's like a Death Star or something made of metal, and it rang like that.
That's like it hitting the wall in the Truman Show or something.
Oh, I haven't seen the Truman Show. I really should.
What? Right.
Yeah,
no. Close the podcast, right? Go right now. Get it. Watch it. Documentary in it. You can't go wrong. Well, that rounds us up for the top 5. It also rounds us up for this week's episode of Temporally Scripted. We will be back next week. We don't know what state we'll be in because it's Tet, so there'll be likely rice wine consumed. But if you've enjoyed today's show, don't forget, give us a like, subscribe, and thank you for joining us today. Adam, appreciate you as always. We'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, likewise. All right, folks. See you next time.